Okay. Now this is one maximizing. This one is maximizing value from limited data via uncertainty management in the development of a reservoir X in the Niger Delta. Now, these are actual conference abstracts, right? That was reviewed for a conference and looked at. What you will see is this. The first part that says identification, quantification, and mitigation of reservoir uncertainties are key elements in evaluating development plan of a greenfield. Now, that is background, but it's not problem statement. That's his background. It just tells you you need this in evaluating development plan of a greenfield. That's a background. He goes further to say, due to the limited amount of available data and its accuracy, it is of cardinal interest to assess the risk related to the development plan in terms of reserve estimation, depletion strategy, and the potential hydrocarbon ultimate recovery. So now this is some sort of problem statement because it tells you here that due to limited amount of data, due to data insufficiency, for example, and of course the inaccuracy of data, even when you have it, he now says it is important to assess risk that is related to development plan in terms of reserves estimation, depletion strategy, and the potential hydrocarbon recovery. Now, this is problem statement. And that says, hence, the objective of this study is to. So he starts by background, highlights the problem statement, and then tells you why they now want to do this work. Why would you not be interested in looking at this? Say, look, hence, the objective of this study is to generate or model a fit for purpose development plan for a candidate reservoir without production, with prime focus on maximizing value through uncertainty management. This first paragraph, I am already interested because the team has defined the problem and they've told us what they want to do. And then he goes further to now tell us a bit of in details what they did in terms of data, methodology, and all of those. You will see where it says sedimentological, 3D seismic, petrophysical, fluid data collected from the field, and this were comprehensively evaluated and integrated to build a somewhat representative 3D dynamic reservoir model. So this is methodology, what was done. Okay. And it goes on to tell you additionally how they went about it. And then there is more comments. It says several sensitivity studies were conducted for the reservoir uncertainty parameter ranges to understand their impact on the fluid development plan with the. So here it tells you a lot of what was done, but it doesn't tell you a lot about the results here. But I'm already interested in seeing what this team did or what this individual did. And here it says, consequently, several subsurface development concepts were evaluated with selection based on recovery optimization. And finally, preliminary economic evaluations were also carried out. So he did some work. So this one is heavy on methodology and the problem statement. It doesn't quite say a lot about the results, and which is why this may not score a 5 out of 5. But in terms of what was done, methodology, problem statement, the need for this work, it's heavy. And then it just highlights some of the evaluations that were done, but not the results. That's what is missing here. So hence, the scoring of this one is this. This is what it was scored. It didn't get up to 5.0, but it got above a 4 point, which means the reviewer, or rather this individual reviewer, is still interested in listening to this person. Maybe because of the problem statement, maybe because of the relevance of the work, and or rather the how interesting this could be if the result turns out right. So what you see here is the abstract title, the sub theme. So your sub themes are also being looked at. You also have to keep in mind the abstract I'm writing, I'm submitting it. What sub theme am I under? What sub theme am I submitting the abstract? Will it be in the right bucket? Will they throw it away because it's in the wrong bucket and all of those? And then see the comment here. The subject area selected by the author are appropriate. Yes, the author says, the reviewer says yes, because it matches reservoir geoscience and management. And then session type oral, technical level high. And then there are other comments on, okay, by the reviewer. Is the significance of the work clearly stated? Yes. Is the abstract topic timely in terms of current issues? Yeah, speaks to topic. Is the presentation likely to be of interest to a reasonable number of conference attendees? And this person says strongly agree. Based on all of this, they did an average and it comes out to 4.3 out of a 5. Okay, so this is an example of an abstract that, the reviewer reviewed and thinks I want to hear more of this, and this is good. Okay. Now, this is another example. It says assessment of stratigraphic surfaces in a chronostratigraphic framework using total organic carbon and gamma ray. Now it goes, assessment of geologic boundaries with a chronostratigraphic framework is often problematic due to some factors, and it's are very important. Okay, well, that's the type, but it's are very important to determine whether surfaces are isochronous or diachronous in stratigraphic analysis. So now the beginning looks great in terms of problem statements, but it quickly delves into some sort of grammatical challenges or typos, if you may call it that. Now let's go further. Say routine well profiling of TOC has revealed in marine source rock. There's no punctuation there, So the reader, trust me, if you send this to an international conference, many times the readers are not that, they may not be that patient to help correct your writing because they want to just use what you have as a basis. So here it says routine well profiling of TOC has revealed in marine source rock the vertical. So there's supposed to be punctuation. They say the vertical distribution of TOC that can be explained by sequence stratigraphy. I don't entirely understand that line or that sentence. It's a long sentence, but punctuation will probably help, and maybe with a few more words. Sequence stratigraphic analysis is combined with laboratory analysis to develop a model of TOC analysis. Now, there is too many analysis here. See, sequence stratigraphic analysis combined with laboratory analysis is to develop a model of TOC analysis. Now, the word analysis has repeated itself 3 times in one sentence. That is not a green flag. That is not good. Okay? And then it goes further. Organic rich rocks can be relatively high, highly radioactive. That is, they can have higher gamma ray reading than ordinary shales. Okay, so now look at this. It says organic rich rocks. It doesn't say organic rich shales. So you're talking about organic rich rocks, and then at the end of the sentence, you say than ordinary shales. Are ordinary shales not also organic rich rocks, or are they shales that are not? So this is not very clear. That's my point. And then it goes on. At depth of this to this, the sediment is transgressive with TOC value of this 3.18% and gamma ray value of 85.66 API. Okay. So that's the question is that sentence, how does it come? Is it a result? Because it's not methodology. Is it a result? Maybe. But it doesn't quite show that it's a result. But it would have been better if they say the person has written or the team has said, our results show that at depth ranging from this to this, we have this based on TOC value of this. Okay, that would have been a better way to put it. Now it goes on to say the condensed section is at 1934 to 1932. Now look at these depth ranges. 1934 to 1932 is flipped. Okay, with TOCs of this 3.37% and gamma ray of 86.16% API. I assume this is part of the results, but the way it is communicated doesn't tell me that. My mind is not in a mode to start saying, okay, what are the results? Because I'm just reading a sentence and it jumps from one to the other, and that's it. And then if the team summarized by saying the condensed sections are isochronous with high TOC corresponding to high GR. That's it. What am I supposed to make with this last word now? Is it a recommendation? Is it a conclusion? Is it specific to this area? Can I use this understanding in a different field or a different asset or a different basin? Is it specific to what part of Niger Delta? So these are the things that need to come out. First of all, the problem statement, yeah, but it goes very quickly. I start struggling with the typo or the grammatical component, and then it goes to now start telling me about routine well profiling, which revealed something. Is that supposed to be background statement, or is that from this work? I don't really know. So when it says routine well profiling, I'm not sure if it's from this work or if it's from literature. It's not clear. And it says that can be explained by sequence stratigraphy, full stop. Is it from this effort or from past? I am not sure. Okay, so when we write abstract, we have to think in the third person. You have to disconnect from being the writer and be the reviewer and ask yourself, okay, what is the problem statement? What is objective here? Is it there? What is the methodology? Is it clear? Is there a flow? And then, am I clear in the words I'm writing, the content technically? Am I using the right technical language? And then, what about the results? Do I prepare the reader's mind to know that I'm about to talk about results here? Do I just jump into it without mentioning that, okay, the result or something? How does the words, the sentences connect? Does it flow? Does it tell anyone that this is result? And then at the last part, how did I summarize or conclude? Now I like to do a quick check. Um, just type in the chat box what you think this person will get. 5 out of 5, 4 out of 5, 3 out of 5, or maybe 2 out of, just by random. Let me get your sample. Let's. So I want you to be the reviewer here. Compare this with the previous one we looked at and this one. What would you score this person out of 5? I need more responses. I see 3, I see 2.5, 2 or 5, I see 2.8, I see 2.9. Wow, really interesting, very detailed. Okay, okay. I want you to be the reviewer because you have to put yourself in the shoe of a reviewer to also now go back to the abstract you have written and assess or reassess your own abstract and tell yourself, did I even, if I'm to be a reviewer for my abstract, will I score myself properly or will I pass the review? Okay, so let me progress this and then just show you the reviewer's mark. Okay, reviewer says, okay? Is the significance of this work clearly stated? Reviewer says neither agree nor disagree. This reviewer is being nice. I can tell you that. Is the abstract topic timely in terms of current issues of interest? The reviewer does not agree. I guess maybe because of the way it is presented also, especially the content. Is the presentation likely to be of interest to a reasonable number of NAPE eyes? Oh, okay, this from NAPE. And the reviewer says, well, I don't disagree, I don't agree. That means if this was packaged a little slightly differently, this will have passed. Because this is a geoscience conference, right? So yeah, this will have passed. But maybe because of the way it's packaged, the reviewer doesn't want to overly just say it's an excellent work because it's not based on the way it is presented. And this person gets 2.7 out of 5, and that is below the threshold of 3. So this abstract is very likely not approved or not accepted.